because I didn't get a chance to talk about this with Luke, who is, far smarter and more informed about the JFK files than me and Melonie, I would assume, unless she's a closet JFK assassination theorist. But
yeah, I'm not.
yeah, from what I gleaned from the files, it was basically nothing new. What I do know is the normies got an update. Like, I still think the normies getting a bit of an update helps. They also said more files were coming out. I don't know if they came out yesterday like they said they were. Luke, can you give us your take on the JFK files? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the whole thing is a cluster F. We have another kind of Epstein binder controversy, but it seems like a lot of people aren't really picking it up that way. We still have thousands of documents that have not been released here. Donald Trump promised 80,000. We got about like 65,000. That's the rough estimate here. Donald Trump came out and said, don't redact them. They were redacted. Why were they redacted? Why did the DOJ take the documents and postpone the release? It was supposed to be released at 3 p.m. It was released 7 p.m. And now we're finding out there's still a bunch of documents that have not been released to the general public. Now, I'm talking to a lot of the kind of people in the know that are talking to people within the administration. They're pissed off. They're not happy. I'm not happy as well. What we got is the doubling down of this kind of official narrative. Lee Harvey Oswald, followed by the CIA as he made his way to Cuba and Russia and Mexico City. They knew about him. He was also hanging out with his assassin, at a nightclub before all of this all went down here. We got a little bit of information about one CIA asset that came out and said that it was a rogue element of the CIA that came out and took out JFK. He then took his own life, allegedly, even though he was right-handed, but got shot in the left side.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah, happens all the time. Makes perfect sense at all here. We saw the Russians warn that this JFK assassination was happening. We saw a lot of people warning, getting phone calls, tipping people off, saying, hey, this is going to go down here. So we also saw that. So other than that, I think a lot of people just didn't want to read the documents, didn't want to sift through it. We're still sifting through it. But the fact that it's redacted over 60 plus years from now, the fact that we still don't have documents is infuriating. But what we do know is that the CIA was involved in, weather modification programs, overthrowing of governments, psychological media propaganda programs. That's what we know, that we got little tidbits of, additionally to the little bit of information that we got. We didn't get a lot. We got something. That something still was still very severe here. But I think the worst kind of take on this was Ben Shapiro's. He came out. I'll send you the clip now. But he says, well, why should we worry? This was so long ago. It doesn't matter who took out the president of the United States, which I think is an asinine take to take here, since I believe the same organization that took out JFK tried to take out Donald Trump in 2024. And I think this is what a lot of people are alluding to a lot of this kind of lore.
Let me play this. Yeah.
Sort of conspiracy theorizing that's become incredibly popular on the right these days. It was popular on the left, and now it's become increasingly popular on the right. You kind of, let's just ask questions. We'll ask
we hate Ben Shapiro. Hates it when you ask questions.
And then you're like, well, do you have any evidence of the thing that you are presupposing? Well, no, I'm not making any accusations. I just know I don't believe the story that I'm being told. I know not to trust the authorities. Like, well, that's fine, but do you have like any evidence? Like evidence, not just supposition. I said, well, you're part of it, aren't you? Yes, you're part of it. The reason that you're so defensive about all this is, I don't care who killed JFK. I mean, I do, because it's really interesting. But I noticed that the calendar says 2025, and he was killed in 1963. And so my opinion about who killed JFK has about as much relevance as who killed William McKinley.
That is a very dumb, false equivalency.
Yeah.
If the CIA did it in conjunction with other foreign governments, my opinion is that the CIA orchestrated it and did work with the USSR and potentially Israel on this to buy the weapons. Or I mean, they're definitely in these documents a lot. Either that or the USSR actually pulled it off, and LBJ was too afraid to go to World War III, and so they just found a patsy.
I don't think so. The Soviet Union in these documents warned the United States about the upcoming assassination of JFK.
They did. Yep,
So
they did warn him.
why would they be a part of it if they're warning?
Well, why was Lee Harvey Oswald meeting with the Russian wet unit?
Because he was
5
CIA
days before.
Because he was a double agent, and he was going over to Mexico City. He was going over to Cuba. He was going over to Russia, and he was working as a CIA agent, essentially.
Okay, so he was there for a reason.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
I just don't. Are we actually going to get the real truth? Anytime we're getting any of these like documents from the government and stuff, it's just like, do they actually want us to know what really happened? Because if they're trying to protect people, they're not going to give us the actual tea. I just can't help but be skeptical about that.
Well, the truth of the matter is,
Well, LBJ covered this up too. There's an
correct.
interview with
That's
the
what I was
head
just gonna
of
say.
the CIA at the time and LBJ right after the incident. That's also not a part of this documents release, which was supposed to be a part of it. So it's LBJ that covered it up. It's the CIA that covered it up. It's also George H.W. Bush that covered it up. All
Also
these people
true.
had their documents, had the hands on these documents before, which I warned about because there's also the potential of them putting stuff in there to muddy the waters and to confuse people and to lead people down trails in order not to get the full picture here. But again, you look at the official version of events for JFK, it makes no sense at all. Who has the power to pull it off? Who has the power to cover it up? Who has the power to lie about it continually? The secret, dark, sinister criminal elements of the intel agencies. It's pretty clear.
Now, here's the thing. Going off what Melonie said, here's probably the reality. Luke, you tell me what you think. I believe that LBJ had the smoking gun, but if it ever existed on paper, which I doubt it, it got destroyed 70 years ago. There were no smoking gun documents to be released by Trump. So I do give Trump at least half credit because he released what he had. But I don't think there was ever actually any documents that existed that said, hey, from the CIA to Lee Harvey Oswald, we need you to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was ever any documents that was ever going to link them, even the day he was assassinated. Now, we have the story of, what's his name, Luke? Who took his own life, allegedly.
Gary Underwood.
Gary Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. He claimed that the CIA did it. And then 6 months later.
Excuse me. Gary Underhill.
Yeah. Underhill Stein. That's Ruby.
Yeah.
Jack Ruby Stein.
Gary Underhill worked. Yeah, he worked for the CIA, and he was found dead after he revealed to his friends that the CIA was responsible for JFK's assassination. He fled during the day of the assassination, ran away, and was telling everyone, "Hey, it's the government that did this." And this was a CIA asset. He was the guy working for the CIA.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to deny. You had that. You also had the FBI ignoring warnings that Lee Harvey. People forget. Why don't you inform people? People don't know. Do you think? I bet you most people don't know what happened to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
People think that he just went to jail. That's not what happened. He got assassinated in prison
after saying that he was a patsy.
Right.
He publicly came out and said, "I am a patsy.
Yeah,
I didn't do it." And then, of course, he was conveniently taken out before testifying, before being held accountable in a court of law and having legal proceedings against him, because he would have blown the whistles. He would have been like, "Yeah, I was a CIA double agent. I was recruited here. I did work for them in Russia. I did work for them in Cuba. I did work with them in Mexico City. I did all of this stuff for them. I'm innocent here. They told me to be here." And the whole story would have fallen flat here. Now, there's also a lot of lore surrounding the Zapruder film, that allegedly being faked as well. There's also, the second shooter that clearly was there. Fake? And the official version of events was that there's a magic bullet theory that makes no sense at all. It doesn't add up. That was in pristine shape that the coroner was able to get out. But we never got the full report of the autopsy of JFK for some strange reason. I wonder why.
Here's an interesting coincidence, Luke. Did you also note, I mentioned this on Monday, but I thought I'd want to see what you might notice. There were also convenient records of Lee Harvey Oswald being a bad shot.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that comes to mind that had convenient records of being a bad shot recently, Luke?
Yeah.
Anybody, any name that you...
Butler, Pennsylvania, with a rangefinder,
Yeah,
and a drone that he was flying before a major incident that happened.
It could be a total coincidence, but that was a big story that was pushed, that Thomas Matthew Crooks was a bad shot. And they also said the same thing about Lee Harvey Oswald, yet Lee Harvey Oswald hit what most people consider to be a near impossible, if not completely impossible shot. And Thomas Matthew Crooks was able to, we talked about yesterday, you've seen the video where the Secret Service agent stands down, right? He's running up to be on the wing of the car to protect JFK. And then he's told to stand down. You've seen that video, right, Luke?
Yeah, of course.
And he's like standing there like, why shouldn't I be here? Oh, well, it just conveniently opened up the shooting lane that wouldn't have been there if he was standing in his position. Just like, I don't know, some other federal agents that just couldn't be standing on that super slopey roof. There's a lot of, there's just too much stuff that went perfectly wrong or right, depending on how you look at it, for me to just say that there's nothing there. But I don't think, just give me my other Nothingburger right now. Just give me my Epstein Nothingburger so I can move on. Like, I know it's going to be a Nothingburger, so just give it to me. And that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. And I think there should be a bigger kind of push here by all of us being like, okay, who's more powerful than Donald Trump that could withhold these documents from the general public? Who's calling the shots here, since Trump clearly signed an executive order? Who's violating his executive order?
Right, somebody is.
Who's saying that these documents are not going to be released when Donald Trump now for multiple years and multiple instances said, release the documents? He says, don't redact them. They redacted them. He says, just get them all out there. They didn't get them all out there. Who is doing that? That's the important question that I think we need to be asking right now. And a lot of people are like, yeah, these JFK files. I'm like, no, we didn't get all of them. There's still thousands of them missing.
It's probably the same person, Luke, that when there was an executive order from the president to release the Epstein files, just said no. Like, who is that person?